Maybe it's on your back.
There you go.
Nice. How we were soccer team.
I don't even know. I didn't play last year.
Welcome to Leaf Sales with Ian Nethercott and Larry Feldman live.
If you look at the last 4 years again, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
Yeah,
I think so.
There you go. Good evening. Welcome. I also wanted to say, for anyone in Canada who's listening, it's Canada Day today, which is, I don't know, 1857 or something, whatever. I actually called people today, so they're a little shocked. And the reason my hat is blue is in Canada, conservatives are blue, not red, just so you know. Anyway, from a point of view, their color is blue, so that's why it's blue. Anyway, but I also have done some really interesting interviews as I prepare for the customer experience show. I interviewed the former CEO of Toyota Motor Corp, who was with them for 33 years. I interviewed the lady in charge of connected cars for Subaru Motor Corp. So that was really interesting. And I did an interview, or I'm going to be doing an interview with Holman. So that they're kind of an interesting company, the guy in charge of customer experience for them, and a couple of dealers. In addition, I'm going to be interviewing, hopefully, a banker from Wells Fargo once I get through the gauntlet of compliance people. There's like meetings with like 5 of these people, like talking to you about what can and can't be done. And if you're available on Monday, we're slammed with speakers, so I can't add any new speakers, but we're going to have probably 200 people watching the stream because we're going to have some big, people from Ford and different people on the show. So it should be pretty entertaining and scripted. But, the gentleman who worked for Toyota was very interesting because he doesn't work for them anymore, but he was there 33 years. So he has some really interesting views on customer experience, but also on dealers versus the OEM. And I'll just leave you with this one thought, even though I'm not releasing these full interviews, I'll be doing clips for the next couple months. If the OEM listened to the dealer, everything would be better for the dealer and the customer. So they should just do that. They should stop thinking they know. And I was like, interesting. So anyway, that was kind of my thought from today. But I know the show's about 250 USA. Congrats.
250.
Yeah, congrats. And I hear that was brought to you by Firearms and Smart Tactics.
Yeah, the Second Amendment. Yeah, Second Amendment.
Smart Tactics. Yeah. Well, what happens when you know how to use a firearm and you're smarter than the biggest, fattest fools on the planet? Yeah, you beat them. Yeah.
Red glare.
Red glare. We basically these were people who were hunters and they hunted for food, so they had a lot of practice with those old muskets. And a lot of the people fighting for the British were actually mercenaries.
Yep.
So
plus the fact that they're wearing red.
Bad uniform. Bad uniform.
Yeah. It's like you can see that in the woods. Is that dumb or what?
Oh God. They were used to fight Napoleon, so you got to give them a little bit of a pass.
Yeah. They were, they'll fight in a row.
Well, that's what you did with Napoleon. He still wiped them out, but that's what you did. Line up, shoot these guys, and then who isn't dead, shoot again. Fire cannons.
It was very touching. Larry's favorite movie and one of my favorites is 1776, and it was very much touch and go. that we became a country at all.
Yep.
It's instead of still speaking that crazy British stuff that they speak.
Well, yeah, I mean, taking on one of the biggest armies on the planet at the time was not a non-bold move.
No, I mean, Washington came close to losing the whole ball of wax.
It's kind of like taking on Russia, except nobody's really beaten them. They give up. They freeze to death and die. That's what happens to Russia.
I still hold forth that you don't need Clint Eastwood revenge movies. The all-time great historical revenge statement was before he left Britain, because remember he was a big ambassador of Franklin. They made him stand up in front of basically a tribunal, in front of a court, and he had gout already, so he wasn't comfortable for hours and hours and hours, and they tortured him. And at the end, he said, "For this, I will make a small tyrant out of your king." And he sure did. He went to France. He put a whole country to sleep. He brought them into the war. Our history is amazingly interesting. Hey, George Washington basically inadvertently was responsible for the First World War, because the French-Indian War broke up and you had all kinds of people jumping in. And yet, because of that, it led to his fame the same way that Franklin became famous because of the lightning rod. I mean, he was one of probably the most famous American because of that. You know, it was stopping buildings from getting burned down. Two really interesting characters. And I'm not even getting that, and it's Jefferson, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it at the time, and you look at I actually watched a bunch of series recently about sort of the different stages of that Revolutionary War. But when you look at it at the time and you look at the scale of the conflict and you look at the, I guess the French participation on both sides was kind of interesting. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you have the drive to do something and get it done, you can do that. And Rhonda and I were talking about that earlier, where it's like if politicians just did like a short list of things and got those done, it'd probably be a better place. Like they take on all this stuff that's relevant, that's like off the list, and probably they shouldn't even pay attention to. But if they just had that list of like, okay, I got to do these 10 things today, and it did those things, it'd probably be better. But life is rarely that simple. But
you mean like close the border and stop men from participating in women's sports?
Yeah,
I'll mention that to Donald when I see him.
Yeah, like don't fly flags that make no sense all the time. Just stick with your own country's flag.
Empire State Building.
Like put your own flag first, maybe. I don't know.
The top of the Empire State Building.
Did they get those guys down?
They as soon as they
They're
got
in jail now, right?
Well, the guy proposed to him.
What? On the Empire State Building?
Yeah. There was a guy and a girl.
Oh, okay.
And the guy proposed to him, and the commentator watching all this says, "I hope she says yes because there's no jump."
But if it's no, off she goes.
Wow.
But they were dressed up as Batman.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah. Well, that's one.
I'm watching here.
Yeah.
I hope they don't have kids. That's all I can say.
What was the banner that they put up, Michael? Just will you marry me?
It was something
It was
like
Sophie with her finger pointing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like when the power of love overtakes the
love of power.
The love of power. Yeah.
Then the world shall know peace.
Are you reading this?
What?
I don't have to read it. I have a good memory, Michael. Remember?
Yes, I remember. And that leads me to a question for you, Larry, because I know that you're the historian. Of all the people that are in our revolution, right? Who is the most impactful that we don't hear about in the history books?
You had guys that financed the revolution and later went broke because of it. John Adams' brother, Sam Adams. You've got a lot of people that participated. How about a guy pre-revolution, Thomas Paine's Common Sense, which Franklin pushed out into the public and inspired so many people. You have a lot of people. They were willing to pledge their lives and their fortunes, and they weren't playing around. A lot of people were seriously involved and impacted, not to mention all the people that died fighting. But for me, in my humble opinion, The two key linchpins are Washington and Franklin. Washington made every mistake a general can make. He got pinned in New York, and if there was no fog that rolled in, he would have been captured and hung, and the revolution would have been over. But he learned from his mistakes, and he basically invented guerrilla warfare. And I'm sure he was borderline depression because he saw how ill-equipped his men were and how low his ammunition was and how broke the country was and how hard it was to get Congress to pay attention. And he carried on. And then, you all know the story. He's the only person in history other than Cincinnatus who came off the farm, helped the Roman Empire, and then went back to the farm. He did 2 terms and he gave up. I argue with my friends who also love history that Lincoln was the greatest president. Absolutely not. Washington was the greatest president because he was first. Whatever, any black ball player today that has a complaint should shut up and should read the Jackie Robinson story, because what he went through is monumental. The first is always the most difficult, has to put up with the most, every time you hear a comedian string 10 curse words together and get rich, remember what Lenny Bruce went through. Mm-hmm. It's the breakthrough. Washington was a general who somehow managed to beat them after loss after loss after loss. I'm jumping continents here. Churchill said the definition of greatness is to go from one failure to the other with no loss of enthusiasm. 100%. Washington never lost enthusiasm. He knew what he was doing. He knew the losses he was taking. There's a famous story, and then I'll jump off this, that they were going to mutiny against him, that they were against Washington. But because they could see they weren't making progress, and he had a meeting where they were basically going to impeach him. I'm not making this up. And he put on a pair of glasses. He said, "I'm sorry, but in the service of my country, my eyes have gotten bad." And supposedly grown men wept, and all of a sudden there was no more mutiny. Yeah. And Franklin, you can't make Franklin up. Okay? He was our greatest inventor. He was our first great writer. Okay? Poor Richard's Almanac. As a statesman, he made Henry Kissinger look like a guy that gets in bar fights. He kept the British at bay and put the French to sleep. We quote, it's like The Godfather, where it sneaks into our vernacular. Man, when I was a kid, all we ever did was quote Franklin, right? Penny earned, penny saved, early to bed. Just a brilliant, but a character, just a real funny, crazy guy. And of course, if it's 4th of July, we got to celebrate what he said to the Congress when half of them decided they wanted to be loyalists. He said, "If we don't hang together, we will surely hang separately."
Right.
True story.
Yep.
That was excellent. I want to talk about Boston, which is so cool. Is that my kids are living there, and we went on one of those bus tours, and 250 years ago is not a long time, and they were not ready. They didn't have the people that they needed, and it's purely amazing of what the Americans did to win and to get rid of the redcoats and to fight back. And what's really cool is they still want you to remember it. And so there they have all the tours, and I'm excited that on Saturday night, one of my daughters lives in the big high rise, and I get to watch the fireworks and listen to the Boston Symphony over the Charles. Nice. And I can't wait for that. That's so, and to be with my kids. My niece just had a baby, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So 250 years, we're young.
And Gary, are you taking a duck?
We didn't take the duck. We did the duck tour before, but we just did an on and off bus that went around, and it's just so cool to see. They talk about where you drive by the tea party, and here's where they threw the tea into the water. I mean, they give you a little cup, and but they commercialized it, but you got Old Ironside in the Cambridge Harbor, and that was the first naval. I mean, that was our first ship, And it's just amazing the ingenuity, the American ingenuity that we get to live in today. And
Well, you had Massachusetts gave us the third most, in my opinion, indispensable man, John Adams.
Yep.
Who drove everybody, made everybody crazy, but he absolutely positively believed we were free. I don't know how much you know about Adams. He was a staunch guy for independence, but when some British soldiers committed a crime, he defended them. He was like one of these true to himself law and order guys, but being human, he also unfortunately came up with the Alien and Sedition Act, which was kind of a stain on his presidency.
Well, his brother made a good beer.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew, and if you didn't, I would.
Hey, Scotland came to Boston and they drank them dry.
Yep.
There was no booze left. What was it? No Scotland, no party. And they sang and they just had such joy. But what was even more impressive is the support of Victor Hovland from Finland. And the boys came and everybody came from Finland to cheer on Victor to win the golf match. So pretty cool stuff. It's just a lot of fun to see that. And it really is exciting to see the World Cup. And for a moment, people can cheer, and they can cheer for their team and their country and what they love. And they can put all this other crap behind us. And it's exciting. I'm hoping that U.S. scores a bunch of goals tonight and they move on. So it should be a lot of fun.
I think that the most fun, because I don't know portion about soccer, is watching the Europeans who have been told how horrible we are, and who have, if they've been here before, they were in LA or Chicago or New York, Las Vegas, going through the South, going through the small towns, all through the country, and saying, this place is great, you know, and they're having the best time.
Yep.
They, some really great lines were like, now I know why Americans don't have passports. Why should they? Every state is like a different country. And really, who among us has seen every one of them?
What we need to do is consider with the crazy people that they're trying to elect on the liberal side, we need temporarily to replace the national anthem, which I love, with Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi, which has the classic line, you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Till it's gone, yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Well, my favorite was the Scottish in Boston, and you had two of my favorite football players of all time, Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski, and they were in kilts, and they marched to one of the statues. They climbed up on the statues, and it was somebody on a horse. No, they got on the horse.
Yeah.
And you're like,
The
tally-ho.
yeah.
And there's at least 1,000 Scottishmen go on yourself.
The one thing you didn't hear that they must have had, and they did a great job with the trains. Nobody thought that the match was 45 minutes away in Foxborough.
Right.
So they had to get all the trains lined up because they knew people were going to be losing their minds.
Yeah.
And it was like, we came to Boston to see the soccer. Oh no, Foxborough. You got to drive all the way. So they had the trains, they had the orange lines and everything. And they gave, I think they discounted it tremendously. So they could, really affordable rates so everybody could.
They had them bussed in. So the buses were
Yeah.
crazy.
It's fun to watch. Is it Norway who rose?
Yep.
All through the stadiums and the food that they're eating, all the food. And it's like, what, you don't know why we're fat? It's because of the portions.
They want to import ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to talk about somebody who was prescient and set a precedent, Adams said, when this was signed and that we were officially a country, that we should have celebrations, that we should have fireworks and games and celebrate it. So for a guy who was considered kind of dour, he made it clear this is something worth celebrating.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Now, I happen to be very pro-American. I think everybody on the show is, even our friend Mr. Nethercott. But if you look back, shortly after we became a country, they took the people in France that were the leaders and cut their heads off.
Yeah.
Look what's happened to Russia. Look what's happened to just about when we were still under British rule. The line was the sun never set on the British Empire. They had us. They had India. Man, you can't go anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. Look at how everybody has fallen down or backwards or been enslaved by communism. And look where we are. That's why I don't understand people that beat this country to death. We're not perfect, but look what we've done and what we've brought to the world. You know, if nothing else for World War II, if nothing else for erasing our biggest sin, which was slavery. I mean, we've just done a lot of great things. We're not perfect, but we're striving to be better. And there's I always say it, man, people will risk their lives to come here. The only people that sneak into Cuba or Russia or North Korea are people that are about to be indicted and they're looking for asylum.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because you were talking about the media's take on different places. I was watching a YouTube video, I think on the weekend. It was a guy, he happens to be an American guy, but he wasn't sure what was actually going on in Cuba and how bad it actually was. So he went there to actually capture it. And I think the same thing is true when you look at people from Europe or other parts of the world. I mean, if you really want to get a better worldview, visit countries. Like, do not take what the media tells you those countries are. Go experience it for yourself. My brother's daughter is a dual citizen because her dad's Canadian and she's American. And she asked me all these questions. It's like, go to the country, make your own opinion. Every place has its challenges, but don't paint anything with a brush based on what the media tells you. Have your own opinion. There's no perfection in the world. And as I was saying to Rhonda earlier, I think it was Winston Churchill says, democracy may not be perfect, but it's better than every other system we ever created. So, at the end of the day, you have to do the best with what you have. You have to give people the ability to do their best and make it their own way. But at the same time, you have to have the freedom to do so. And I think when you look at from the Magna Carta to common law to the U.S. War of Independence, all those things sort of tie together from the, getting out from under what was royalty and making your own way. The only difference is how far away from that have you gotten. And I think at the end of the day, I've always enjoyed people from all over the world. I've spent a lot of time in the U.S. and Canada. And I think that, the Americans have a lot right. Is anything perfect in the world? No. There's no perfection, but you have a lot of opportunity and you've made your own way, and that's really half the battle. And that's kind of the battle we're fighting right now where I live in Alberta against the government is basically we might have our own way and we'll see what happens. But that's exciting, but also interesting.
Wait a minute. You had your own Nixon moment where Nixon said when he lost in 60 to Kennedy, he said, you're not going to have Dick Nixon to kick around anymore. We don't have Trudeau to kick around anymore in Canada. Hey, by the way, we haven't heard from Gene Lytle. Yeah. Gene, it's great to see you, or David, or Russell, or Christian.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm just listening and learning a lot, so I'm okay.
Well, how about taking a second, Gene? I love to hear what you got your revenue playbook chronicles. Is that your operation? Is that what you offer solutions to dealers?
So RevBooster.ai is my company that offers solutions to dealers, and Revenue Playbook Chronicles is my podcast to interview dealers and anybody in the automobile space. But I've also opened it up to the financial, real estate, and nonprofit and marketing area. The goal is to get them all to network together and teach the what do you call it, the up and coming industry leaders, you know, the playbooks, the strategies, the pivots, the journeys that people have had to go through to be able to stay in business. And I'd like you guys to know when I first got on this call, I was just starting. Larry was one of my few handful of podcasts, and I had just finished my 25th podcast finally.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. So I'm improving. Every day, and it's people like you guys that help support me that just make me learn and keep me excited about it.
Well, if you have
Awesome.
if you have questions, I have 1,100 episodes, so I can give you some learning.
So you might get tired of hearing from me though, but
It's okay.
I was going to reach out to you and ask if I could pick your brain a bit.
Absolutely.
And I can help you with profitability, Gene, because people pay me not to be on their podcast.
I screwed up already.
David, Christian, Russell, man, what do you have to say? We're heading for our 250th anniversary. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Hello, it's Christian. Thanks for having me, gang. So a couple thoughts. One, I saw it's about soccer today. I know nothing about soccer, so
just the ball you kick. That's it. That's all you gotta know. There's a goal on both sides. That's it.
I will say I'm pretty happy with the Cubs right now. They're back in the wild card race, and they won 23-3 today. As far as favorite, some of your favorite people from the past, you were just talking about it, Samuel Adams and those types of things. I'm a Ben Franklin fan. I think he's the only one that signed like the 3 documents that, like, what is it, the Paris Treaty,
He also corrected Jefferson, not corrected, when Jefferson drew up the Declaration, it said we hold these truths sacred and self-evident, and he crossed out sacred. He said we should separate church and state. He is, in my opinion, the most accomplished human being that will ever live. To have that, there's nobody like him. Listen. He was our greatest mind, our greatest writer, our greatest inventor, and his book was called, I am not making this up, Fart Proudly. That's how unseriously he took himself, but we don't have a damn country without the guy.
Yeah, again, he's just, if you haven't, I've been fortunate enough to, or unfortunate enough to have 6-hour drives here and there, and I've listened to some biographies on him, and it's amazing. I mean, he was like a Renaissance man. He did everything. So anyway, science, diplomacy, leadership, swimming, books, Poor Richard, all that good stuff. All right, so he's my hero when it comes to that. And then last but not least, you're talking about USA, you were talking about bashing or that type of thing. Hey, this country, come on, man. It's like you said, it's a great country, and people get over here, and people come over for this soccer, and they're like, you guys got a bad rap. You're not as bad as people say. You're not as rude and crude. You're really good people. But I look at it like this. Hey, the USA is kind of like a company you work for, and you shouldn't be bashing the company you work for to other people and that type of thing. If you don't like it, then try to improve it. If you don't think you can improve it in the correct way, then you can leave. But don't be bashing your own country. It just makes us look like fools. I hate when people do that. No different than when a person would bash their own company in front of you. You're like,
Christian, it's your point is brilliant. It used to be we stopped at the water's edge. In other words, we would talk amongst ourselves, but we wouldn't go forward. And it leads to people not appreciating what we are and what we have. Rhonda, let me just throw this out, my little political stance here, and forgive me. I saw something that made me nauseous for the hypocrisy and stupidity of it. Bruce Springsteen went to England and started talking about how we're losing our freedoms in America. As he was saying it, they were locking people up in England because they made comments.
Right.
Listen. This, and again, I'm sorry if my political tidings are showing, but this all started with Nancy Pelosi ripping up the speech behind Trump. I wasn't a fan of Barack Obama, but he was still the president of the United States, and I respected him. We have lost decorum. We have lost dignity. Mike, one of the reasons I don't like going to ball games is, I tell incredibly good filthy jokes. You've been in the room with me, but I'm not going to curse if there's women in the room or children. The profanity, the looseness, and the lack of decorum we have in gentility is frightening. And it's not like I'm an Ivy League guy. Enough with that. David, Russell, what are your thoughts here as we move towards the 250th anniversary of the greatest experiment in a country of all time?
I'm just pumped up and fired up and ready to go. And you can see I'm not my regular area here, but no, it's yeah, everything that was said.
Cool. And Christian left something else out too, because I'm a completist. On top of everything else, Franklin was chasing women around in his 70s and 80s in Paris, and there was no Viagra back then.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a girl that about 40 years younger than him that he's tied to. Yeah. Yeah.
He's Keith Richards with a lightning rod instead of a guitar. I get it. David Rosie, what do you think, my buddy?
I mean, I'm not the biggest soccer fan if we're talking soccer, but if we're talking about Independence Day and the 250 year type of celebration for our country, I did write a little bit about this topic because I have a post that I'm going to post on LinkedIn about it. And I kind of explain how, I guess it's my great grandfather came here as a Prussian mercenary, and he was hired by the Empire to remove the Dutch from then New Amsterdam, but is New York today, and that his lineage then stayed and fought as part of Washington's militia. And then from there, later on, they went and founded Virginia Military Institute. And then the next 5 generations, we all served in the military. But it's interesting because we're immigrant blood, we're hired swords, and but we're kind of free citizens.
David, we're all immigrant blood, unless you're an American Indian.
Yep, but I am American Indian too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I rest my case.
Family name is Aguanagua, is our family name, and we're Lakota Sioux. So I mean, on my mother's side, you have a very strong Sicilian background, being Corolla, but the family that they married into was Aguanagua. So we're very mixed blood. I mean, we're Heinz 57 all the way in my family. I have a Hispanic lineage. I have our Hispanic bloodline. I have Indian bloodline. We have Swedish bloodline. We have Croatian bloodline. It keeps going on and on. For me to do one of those DNA test things, it's like, oh my God, I think that I must touch every continent, but, I just think that it's all kind of ran through the same line. My family has, many different generations, different family have merged together, and all these different nationalities have had one thing in common, is that we've all kind of wanted to serve. We've all kind of wanted to empower others. We've all been grateful about making money and making this country great, and I don't mean necessarily making money, but just making the country great and being able to make money as free, being able to do it as free people. When I visit other countries, I don't see that, man. So when people say, hey, do you desire to go to this country or that? And it's like, it's great for me to visit, but I'm good right here in the United States. I'm good right here, seeing the country. I want to go to Oregon. I want to go to Montana. I want to go stop in, Arizona. I want to go to Colorado. I want to go to Connecticut. Those are the places that I desire to go to. My family are like, oh, hey, let's go to Italy. It's like, you know what? I'll just go to Maryland. Okay. I want to travel and I want to go see, some friends there. I want to go to Texas. Not that I have anything against Canada. I think Canada is beautiful too. But it's just, I don't really have desire like a lot of my family does to go to other countries, because I'm proud of where I'm at. And I think this is a beautiful country. And like was said earlier, there's so much that we can do and see that you haven't seen.
Yep.
I went to some waterfalls when I worked out in Ottawa, and I had no idea that was even there. There's things in this country that's like, I thought I was in a whole different country going to some of the places. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful that I can just freely come here and nobody challenges me.
Right.
So, I mean, I could ramble on and go on and on about this BS, but it's just, you know, I was having difficulty being patriotic, writing about a lot of this stuff. I mean, like Larry, I mean, I'm a history buff on a lot of things. But at the same time, I mean, I just am grateful to be here in this country. I think about all the times I've gone to South America, and it's like, you know, I can't fucking see how these people live. And I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, challenging.
You know, now I'm not necessarily a Trump lover, but I am a Republican. I think there's great leaders on both sides, and I'll listen to their viewpoints. You know, to me, sometimes I just think we're one government, and we're just trying to help better the situation. Everybody has to make a stand and kind of say, this is what I'm for, and that's great. You made a decision, and you believe in this. But ultimately, as long as we're making everybody better, that's all I care about.
David, the challenge is that that you're a historian, I'm a historian. Politics has always been ugly. What Jefferson did to Adams in Washington was a disgrace. Andrew Jackson feel like they bullied his wife into death. There's always been terrible, horrible things. Yeah. But I can remember Bill Clinton, who hated Newt Gingrich, and Newt Gingrich, who hated Bill Clinton, sat in a room, cleaned up welfare, and instead of having a $36 trillion deficit, we had a surplus. That's what we really need in this country. We need people to sit in a room and say, you're not my favorite and I'm not your favorite. This is not politics. This is common sense. How vindictive and dumb is Nancy Pelosi? Because
I'm not a Pelosi fan at all.
But hold up and follow my point. Even if you're a Trump fan, you have to admit he's a narcissist and an egomaniac.
Well, I'm a narcissist, okay.
But wait a minute. How easy would it have been for Nancy Pelosi to sit in a room with him and say, I don't like you, you don't like me, but let's work together and make this country better? Can you imagine what would have happened if they worked together instead of the day that COVID hit? Do you know what the Democrats were doing? They were impeaching Trump on nonsense. What would happen if instead of rowing in different directions, we rode together? And I'm not talking about the people from Norway, Rhonda. I'm talking about really went in the right direction.
Exactly. It's not about political party, political stripe, ideology. It's not about that. It's about you were hired by the American people or whatever country you're in to represent them and to make their lives better and to bring more opportunity. If you just did that and you weren't constantly with your hand in the till and not doing the right stuff, things would be definitely better for everybody. But you got to have a list of what has to be done. Like, here are the things we got to do. Let's do those things.
Ian, so we're real clear.
Yeah.
The people that I blame are the American voters. We have a precious gift. You don't have it in Cuba. You don't have it in Venezuela, Russia, North Korea. We can vote out the people we don't like. We don't need to have a palace coup or behead them. And for people, not to vote, or to vote and not pay attention to who they're voting for, do a little research. The recent, you had, not political, just laying it out. You had 3 radical people that won primaries in New York.
Yeah.
All anti-Israel. One lady said she wipes her backside with the flag. Do you know how that happened? It wasn't like everybody voted. 18% of the people voted.
Right.
But
the other 82%.
But do you know the high watermark in the U.S. for elections in terms of voter participation?
Yes,
it's not over 50%. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to guess what's the highest participation of any global democracy on planet Earth?
That'd be 28%, maybe 28%.
No, 75%. You want to guess the country?
Oh, so what's the highest?
Yeah, they have the highest voter turnout, the highest participation in democracy. It's one of the largest democracies on planet by population, and they have close to an 80% mean participation. That's not to say the country's perfect, but everyone has a say. Like, most of the people show up and they vote. And that happens to be the country of India, shockingly.
I was going to guess that, yeah. No, it's not shocking.
It's shocking because when you look at it, and I haven't been to India, but I've been to China. Similar democracy in terms of a similar population size, but the participation in India from a democratic point of view, in terms of the people that vote, is huge. So when you look at the U.S. as a population, and I guess the most similar population in North and Central America would be Brazil. That's also a democracy. I think it's 200 million ish. And you look at the Canadian democracy. I think it's about 40% on average, which is still low in my opinion. But I think you fix that by saying, listen, you're a taxpayer and you're a citizen. You must vote. If you don't vote, then you got a different problem, which is that we're gonna have some solutions to that, which is maybe we don't want.
You think that criminals should have a right to vote, though?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure on
a
that.
Criminal,
but wait a minute.
Have the right to vote.
David, the only
lost their
thing
right to vote. I would say they should lose their right to vote.
Yeah,
I
don't
agree.
know
Listen, the only thing worse, in my opinion, again, just my opinion, that people that don't vote are people that don't vote and then complain about the government.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
That's always my first question when somebody starts complaining. And by the way, did you vote? Because if you did, shut up.
But it's also holding the government. It's also holding the people you elect, rightly or wrongly, to task. One thing that motivates a politician more than anything else is heat. If you hold a politician to task, I think that would be a big game changer. But go ahead, Mike.
I got a question for David Rozak, and I already know Christian is a Cubs fan. Are you a Sox fan or a Cubs fan?
He's a Bears fan.
It's a very tough situation because you're
both. You're straddling the fence, dude.
So I grew up the Cubs bat boy. Okay, my grandmother's brother is Lou Boudreau, and
Wait a minute. Larkin don't know that was the Boudreau shift that they slid over the infield because Ted Williams refused to hit in that direction.
Well, before you go,
Lou Boudreau.
Before you go down this rabbit hole, I want to give you the reason I asked, because I heard that AJ Persinski, he was a phenomenal hitter, and he was part of the White Sox last World Series in 2005.
Right.
He went to visit the Pope and presented him with the winning ball from that World Series. And as he walked away, he goes, "Hey, by the way, Pontiff, or whatever they're calling it, we're the Sox are in first place." And the Pope looked at him and goes, "I know, I'm following," because the Pope was from Chicago. Right. So now I know why the Red Sox suck this year.
But remember, AJ Brzezinski was an enemy of the Sox until they brought him aboard. Right. So I mean, they hated him, but then he gave such great leadership during that run. But Lou Boudreau kind of was, key to me being a Cubs bat boy. And I used to be able to get out of school in grammar school and go there and be a bat boy. And I literally hated the Cubs, though, because one instance, Dave Kingman made a nasty chewing tobacco habit that he had. I grabbed the bat and he spit over his shoulder and he got it all over me. And it was after that, I'm like, I hate the Cubs. Okay? Because this asshole spit on me.
But you also had the guy that tried to burn the flag and the Cubs guy grabbed it away from him. And you also had maybe baseball's most game-loving player with Ernie Banks.
Right. Now, there's some Cubs players though that I adore, and I have family that are Cubs players, and we love the Cubs and White Sox rivalry games. I mean, they're fun. In fact, my one daughter was at the Cubs game, I want to say yesterday. But it's an amazing sports city and the rivalry there. I am a Sox fan though. I'm a South Sider growing up on the South Side. So I was always rooting for the Sox as I got old.
Well, you've got the blessing of a Pope. So
yeah, and we have the blessing of the Pope, which, we love him because he's blessing the Bears, and hopefully they can get by the Patriots this year as well.
You know, if the Bears can invite the Patriots, I'll be so happy because I can say Mike Larkin got you.
Will you be traveling to Indiana to see the Bears home games?
I think that's a bunch of propaganda and bullshit. You know, I don't see it happening.
Poke
I mean,
the
if it happens,
bear,
it
Larry.
happens. But,
Poke the bear.
you know, I just don't. There'll be some last minute legal shit somebody throws in there and prevents it again. You didn't do this. You didn't file this, and I mean, they've been messing around with the Arlington Heights area for years that they were going to move there. Then they even looked at, you know, Naperville and other towns out here in western suburbs have tried to entertain the Bears. And every time they've done stuff, the state has blocked it. I think that this is a very difficult problem that the current governor is dealing with, though. And if the Bears move out of state, he will not win another term. It doesn't matter how much money Pritzker has.
That's why I'm rooting for them to move out of state.
Soldier Field. I mean, it's a.
It doesn't have Mike. The answer is for these stadiums to make as much money as they can. They need luxury boxes. They need the things that the normal fan doesn't think of because the money generated from that is beyond human comprehension. These executives pay a fortune for these things. Am I correct, David?
Yeah,
because nobody has more history than the Bears. Maybe the Packers.
Yeah, I was going to say Green Bay, you know, being publicly owned is a little bit different, and they do have some suites and stuff like that. They do have some stuff, but they don't really get caught up in the money issue like everybody else. That franchise is worth money, but they don't have all the expenses other people do. They have a lot of blue collar workers that just win, and they just
own.
Yeah,
the public owns that team.
So it's very interesting. The Bears, though, you know, I currently, you know, for the longest time, I didn't really care for a lot of the McCaskies and everything that was going on. But I actually like this guy. Now he's come out and been very supportive of the team and the players, and he's a little bit more involved than they ever been involved. You know, this whole drama with them moving and stuff, you know, to me, it's just social media drama right now. Until it happens, I don't really, you know, but you know, here, we don't have a vote on that. We may have a lot of free things in this country, but on that thing, that's business. That's the state. That's great. But we don't have a vote to stop that. I mean, if they put it to a vote, I guarantee you nobody would want the Bears to leave. But does anybody want to pay for the additional taxes to keep them here? No. We're in one of the most expensive states there is to live in when it comes to tax. And we're not California. We're not Florida. We're not New York. It's just Chicago. Sure, we have a great city, but outside of the city of Chicago, what do you have? A bunch of farmers?
It's the second city, dude.
You know, maybe. You know, but I tell you what, I think there's a lot of great cities in this country.
Yeah.
You know, the competition is fun between mayors and stuff. You know, when we win and we beat Boston or something, you know, I'm going to be excited. You know, I will.
Keep saying when.
When. That's it. When. I do want to say that David Ortiz, though, is one of my. It's Ortiz, right? He's one of my favorite players, even though I'm missing that's really his name in my mind. But I did meet him at a soccer match, ironically, at Soldier Field. I sat in a box with. I was blessed to sit in a box with him. The guy who ran Grupo Carso, which is Carlos Slim, he used to be Carlos Haddad, one of the richest men in the world. He invited me to the box, and I was consulting for them. And sitting next to us was a lady that sang. I had no idea who she was, and her name was Shakira. So kind of an interesting story that I'm sitting in this box with all these people. I had no idea who David Ortiz was as a baseball player, look, between you and I. But I'm sitting in the same private box with them, enjoying a hot dog, and, you know, watching a soccer match. Watching Mexico play against some other country. I didn't even know.
Didn't notice the bling on his fingers?
Yeah. I noticed the chain that must have weighed 20 pounds of gold is what I noticed. But you know what? The nicest man, you know, there's some athletes that I've met and been around and helped with marketing, and you go to shake their hand and they won't even talk to you.
If it makes you feel any better, David, since you're tipping your hat to Ortiz, I'm all Philly all the time, but my all-time favorite non-Philadelphia football player was Walter Payton. This guy was so extraordinary. Everybody in the league, Rhonda, knew this guy was going to run. They had no quarterback, and they still couldn't stop him. And he was 5'10", not 6'5", and he never ran out of bounds. He would knock linemen and linebackers on their butt. He not only that, he was an incredible runner. He could catch the ball, he could throw the ball, he could kick the ball. And has there ever been a better blocking back than him? I mean, he
was wonderful in blocking for everybody, and it's just unselfish. But I will say that when you paired him up with like Matt Suey and a couple other people, you know, they had a great line, and they just hit a great run.
And they picked up some of the greatest defensive players of all time. That run in '85 and '86.
You know, and Otis Wilson and Singletary.
Amazing.
Those guys, Gary Fensick, you know, is the DB. I mean, they had so many different individual leaders, but they took care of their area and their space. I mean, Richard Dent is just an amazing man when you talk to him, and just so giving. You know, all those guys. And Dan Hampton, I mean, I've done so many different charity things and functions with him, but so approachable. I could go to a restaurant in Burbridge that he hangs out with, which is under a little scrutiny. But you could just walk up to Dan and he'll just talk to you. You know, he kind of limps around a lot. But, I mean, all these athletes, they're just so approachable in Chicago. I don't know that I'm sure other cities are like that. I haven't experienced that in other cities, but I will say that a lot of the Chicago talents are just wonderful people.
And if you were 20 years older, you could say the same thing about Gale Sayers, who was, other than Jim Brown, was easily the best running back in the league. And if he played today, they would have patched up his knee, and he would have had another 5-6 years tacked onto his career.
I still get a little teary-eyed when I watch that movie with
Brian Saul.
Brian Saul, with Brian Piccolo. That does get that, you know, knee-jerk reaction from me.
You have to. I mean, you don't have any emotion if you don't cry in that one.
Yeah, that one gets me. And I know we changed topics about 10 times there, and I'm sorry to do that to you. But, you know.
Never happens on this show. Never happens.
Never happens.
David, America is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and Lethal Sales is the home of the ADHD. We tend to have trouble staying on one track.
But before we go on, we haven't talked about the Bulls, and we haven't talked about the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it. Enough sports.
Enough sports. I got to tell you though, I'm excited about the Bulls draft. They got some guy from North Carolina. They got another Caleb. We got a Caleb at the White Sox. We got a Caleb at the quarterback, and now we got a Caleb at the Bulls.
David. When I grew up, when I was a kid, I grew up with Wilt Chamberlain and Billy Cunningham. And for 1 year, we had the most unbelievable team. It's the year we beat the Celtics and won the championship. Then we were gifted after getting our brains beat in because we didn't have a center. We got Moses Malone and went 12-1 in the playoffs. But today, finally, after years of stupid moves, they traded for the guy from the Celtics. And all of a sudden, we got a shot. If Embiid is healthy with the two guards we have, we're going to be.
He's always been a disappointment to me, though, Embiid. Though.
Well, because he's never stayed healthy, and a little bit like Shaquille O'Neal, he didn't always come in shape. All right. Rhonda's going to shoot me if we keep staying on sports.
Yeah.
But you know, I love my Philadelphia sports.
Yep. Okay. 2 things. Number one, we were talking about this earlier, Ian and I, about how politicians should just do their job. Josh Shapiro, our esteemed governor, decided that Pennsylvania, was not going to participate in the Great American, what are they calling it?
The celebration of our 250th anniversary.
Yeah,
it's
a
a
Great
beautiful
American
thing.
Fair, whatever it is, down in Washington. Every state has a booth all set up. And he said, no, I can't get anybody interested in doing that.
What?
So our 2 senators, one who's a Republican, one who's a Democrat.
McCormick and Fetterman.
Right. Got together and said, well, we can't not be represented. And amazingly, not only do they put it together, but some very large, very Pennsylvania businesses participated. Pennsylvania now has the best booth at this fair, put together at the very last minute. And one of the things that makes it really interesting is they have all the different flags, starting with Betsy Ross.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All the different flags because Philadelphia was the
starting point
capital of the country for a couple of years.
So how could you not be represented?
prior to New York and then eventually Washington D.C.
Yeah, so they had every single flag that it's not replicas than the real ones that came along over the years until we kind of settled on what we're using today. They had businesses there giving out, and people came off the street and they said, "This is the best booth of all." So that's what happens when politicians put the crap aside. Pardon me, spit in my own bowl.
Yeah.
And do something that makes sense for the state, for the good of the people.
100%.
And
Stop being
Rhonda,
big babies and
Rhonda,
get stuff done.
Rhonda, are you going to spend the 4th of July in DC?
I wish I could, and I'm trying to figure out how to do Philadelphia, because what happened was during the bicentennial, I lived here my entire life. Do I go there and do anything? The only time I go into Philadelphia for the history is when I have a visitor.
Right.
And the bicentennial, my cousin's cousin was here from France, and he was staying with me, and I saw and did everything because he was here. So
I only asked because
I'm looking for a visitor.
You're wearing one of those flags, so I didn't know if you were going to Philly or DC.
I'm like trying to figure out where to go in town. If it wasn't 100 degrees, I'd be there for sure. But there's actually a lot going on out here in the suburbs too.
There's a lot of history though in Philadelphia. I mean, I lived there for 5 years, so I'd say there's a lot of history. There's lots to see, but weather is probably a problem.
Yeah, there's tons, and I never do it because I've grown up here. I've lived here my entire life. And when we had school trips, we went to New York.
I think Russell needs to come visit you. Because I haven't heard much from Russell tonight.
Russell, come visit. Then I have somebody to take into town. Yeah.
Yes,
The second thing is that I wanted to mention really quickly, excuse me, is that my family experience is the opposite of David's. Both my parents were born in Europe. I was the first of the generation born here. Our perspective has always been such gratitude for taking us in, and such a great country. And my parents were the most patriotic people you would ever meet in your entire life. And I think that those of us who come here from horrible places, which of course Europe was horrible in the 30s and 40s, have a different perspective than a lot of other people. And the reason I chose this topic tonight is I don't think we appreciate what we have enough.
Agreed.
And travel to other countries if you don't believe it. Travel to other countries if you don't believe it. I've been to a lot of countries. There's pros and cons, but I think North America has a lot of pros. And if you're not convinced and you really think it's horrible, go to other places and you'll learn pretty fast. I mean, it's a quick study. Go to countries where they don't let you do that stuff.
Someone asked me what the 250th meant to me. And I just said, to me, it just means responsibility. And they said, what do you mean? I said, I just have a responsibility and name that I have to live up to in the lineage of my family from this great country that we live in, to keep it going, to, help others. I said, that's what it's about to me. I said, you said 250 years. I said, well, that's 250 years of responsibility that we've had, and to be grateful for this country and to be grateful for the people that I've been able to influence and touch.
And be grateful for the people who fought and died for it. 100%.
Yes.
Pride.
Yeah.
That's a pretty deep emotion, and
it is.
We should show a lot more of it, and not let everybody who wants to crash it and talk ill about it. The younger generation, they don't appreciate much of what they have, and they were allowed to voice their unappreciation. And still you had some of the grandparents, and it's like, no, you're a proud American, and you like the households that keep that pride together. And
it's the schools. It's the schools.
Oh,
the schools are not teaching American pride and what we've accomplished, and
civics.
Yeah.
And you have to. We all learn is that you can't not let history be told. You have to tell history. We just, and this will end my rabbi that was a part of my community for many years, he passed away at 96.
Wow.
When he was 12 years old, his mother helped him escape from the Nazis, and he lived in the woods. And this man became, he wrote 16 books.
Wow.
And you cannot, and his mother said, you make sure that everybody hears this story, because you can't let that story go untold. And that's where it's sad when you have people, they say, oh, we don't believe in what happened at the Holocaust. And it's like, that's the most upsetting thing to ever hear from being Jewish, and knowing that you have families and friends that still have the tattoos that they had to live with. So I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole.
It's the Santayana quote you're looking for. Those that forget history are doomed to repeat it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Hey, we're out of time. Guys,
USA.
we can't thank you enough for joining us. God bless America. And we appreciate every one of you. Man, Gene, feel free to join in whenever you can. David, man, I hope the Bears stay where they belong, my brother. And everybody, have a fabulous 4th of July.
And Mike, good luck with the Boston thing there.
Hey, David, when you get a chance, David, I still want to talk to you. I sent you my cell phone. When you get a chance, if it's not before or after the holiday, but I want to catch up with you.
We'll
Leave him alone. He's dating Shakira. He's busy.
I would not date Shakira, because if I was,
He's gonna be getting me pub tickets, so just leave him alone.
you guys would all have tickets.
You're gonna do karaoke with her.
Stay healthy and have a healthy.
Just giving her tax advice. I wouldn't worry.
I have a Hawkson karaoke story for you, but we'll talk about it another time. You'll be surprised who karaoke's with us that night.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.